the types. It's definitely different.
Nice. And because you're tracking on scale, so you can see for the whole year versus like me. I wouldn't even notice that to be honest. I'm not running enough Quora or Pop to get variations to see that change.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at some examples and it'll be cool.
That'd be awesome. Hey everyone, just waiting to make sure that all of the sound and stuff gets by. Yep, it is. Yes. Wow, I sound awesome. Sound awesome today. How you doing, Ted?
Oh, doing pretty good. Let me pull up the chat. Uh-oh. There we go. I'm a professional.
You're listening to the same kind of music I listen to most of the time. You got house music and all kinds of other stuff playing in the background.
Oh, no, it's your monetization. An ad popped up.
Well, who was it? Was it Wix? It wasn't Wix this time, was it? I don't think.
I don't know. I stopped it really quickly.
Yeah, I paid for UT Red, so I don't even see ads anymore. It's nice. That's like the best $9 ever spent, or whatever it is. Yeah, completely worth it. Okay, everyone, welcome to SEO This Week, episode 140. Wow, 140. That's a lot.
It's a lot of weeks.
Surprised that it actually, maintained traction and people want to listen to it and stuff. So I appreciate it. I'd like to welcome, as always, my good buddy Ted. Ted, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. People are wondering how I'm recovering, and I'm doing better. So slow improvement, but getting better every week.
If you guys don't know, Ted was out breakdancing in Europe and split the disc or some craziness. So,
yep. So, unfortunately, it means I'm not in Bali with Kyle Roof this week. So that's a real bummer. But
no one wants to spend any time with Kyle anyway. So Kyle's got his wife and kids with him. He'll be having a good time for like a whole month. I mean, it's nice to be in the position where you can just go peace for a whole month and your business can take care of itself. And he's gonna do a couple of SEO fight clubs, but we're gonna leave him alone for the most part because he's on the other side of the world and we don't want to get up at 3:30 to convenience him. So that's good. We got some great stories. I think I got, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8 stories. Not too bad. There were some more, but for the most part, it was all talking about the elephant in the room, which is what Ted and I were talking about pre-show, is Bert. And what it changed, what it didn't, and what you can do about it, and what you can't do with it, etc. So I think it's a great conversation. Ted's got some great insights on it. I have my opinions on it. I don't know if Ted's tested. I know I haven't tested Dick on it. So anything I say about Bert is going to be purely opinion based. But with that being said, I think it's a pretty good, in my opinion, for right now. I think that Google did a good job with this one. One, because it didn't affect any of my rankings of my websites, and two, it's the search results seem to be better. So maybe what I'm seeing with better search results coincides with what Ted's opinions are. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen so we can get started. There we go. All right. So as you see, SEO This Week, episode 140, Taxonomies. That's a big word for me. Mueller and NLP. I couldn't come up with a better title. I needed to get better at my titles. Get some clickbait going on. If you don't know, it was Stephen Toth. Is that his name? This guy on Facebook, he's got this group is called SEO Nut Book. Go to SEOnutbook.com, sign up. He brings a lot of great information. He's kind of doing what I'm doing, but he's doing it in newsletter format, finding new ideas, but he goes so far as finding old stuff and kind of bringing that back and saying, hey, look, this is still cool. You can check it out. And pointing it out to you and helping you. This one that was actually really good to me. I liked it. a lot, and that's why I wanted to share it and get you guys to sign up to his newsletter. I think he'll appreciate it. Stephen Toth. I'm pretty sure it's Stephen Toth. I should have wrote down his name. At SEO Notebook, and it's what you see here is literally the extent of the newsletter. Is short, sweet. You're not reading a whole bunch of crap, and you get one email a week. I think he's doing right now, and it comes out pretty good. And so check this one out. In this case, it's some bookmarklets. I check them out. I get the machine ID out of the search results. And then there's some other stuff in here too that you guys can find and play with, and just to kind of make your life a little bit easier. So this is pretty handy. I like those. I like the bookmarklets and the JavaScript and leveraging JavaScript. I think it's cool. Steve Toth. There you go. Thank you, SEO Ruler. That's Pablo, I believe. Thank you. Appreciate it. Steve Toth is the bomb. Yeah, he's doing great with this. Support him and SEOnotebook.com. Next one is on LinkedIn. This is actually pretty cool. Leveraging a LinkedIn Pulse to do your content marketing if you want to. This is great. This one is refining traffic opportunities with Ahrefs and Python. I'm an Ahrefs fanboy. I like them a lot. And then Python is just cool what you can do with it, and amazed at what these guys think of and how to leverage this stuff. So we'll check this out. He's giving you the scripts and everything to go through and, visually look at and check out your keyword research and add one more step to it. If you're into the pretty numbers, I'm sure Ted is having a nerdgasm right now. This is stuff that's really cool. You will certainly get some out of it. If anything, you learn a little bit about Python and maybe you come up with your own ideas and how to leverage that great language and some of the tools that are available like Ahrefs, Majestics, etc. A guide to SEO taxonomies. I changed the title because I like the way I say that better. But taxonomies. Ted, can you, for the uninitiated, what is a taxonomy? How the hell do you pronounce it? That'd be a good one. Start there.
Well, it's your structure for organizing information. So if you think of it in terms of like the old school Yahoo web directory, how it was broken out in categories. So that's a very basic example of a taxonomy.
In the WordPress world, we're talking tags and categories and date archives and all that madness, right?
Well, from we're dabbling into the library sciences here, so somebody's going to jump on and chew us out in the comments. But what's really cool are these different kinds of structures. So you've probably heard of facets, faceted navigation. That's kind of like tagging, and tagging itself is different than faceted navigation, which is different than your taxonomies and lexicons. And so all these things, these terms have different meanings when you start talking about them from information science and library science. So we got to tread a little bit lightly so we don't anger the academics.
I like making my professors mad, so we can anger the academics. I'm happy with that. In the scope of this one, he's talking more of leveraging the taxonomies in order to build your URL structure, and what you should do and what shouldn't do, or recommendations therefore, and how they can and can't help hurt your SEO. In particular, it's the building of the site structure. Kyle Roof, when he talks about building silos, he talks about doing a virtual silo where he's ignoring taxonomies or tags and categories in this case, and more specifically categories, versus a physical silo structure where you would actually create the domain name, the category. I'm just making a general example here. Domain name, category, maybe the money page, and then the sub pages, and that creates your quote unquote physical silo. I prefer to do it with the virtual silo method. but a lot of people like using this physical silo too. I think to me, it's just easier and cleaner to do the virtual silo stuff. But here's a look at how to kind of some different ways to look at the value of the taxonomy and the different site structures that you can create with it, and kind of build and focus your site in the right ways, and managing your levels of click, which is really important. And is how long does it take how many clicks to get to your money pages, or the bottom of your funnel, or top of your funnel if you're going the other way around. And you can do that leveraging taxonomies. So I think it's a pretty interesting one. And here's some glossary of terms to kind of help you figure out where Williams' idea of taxonomy is, what it is, and how to leverage it. So I think it's a pretty good post. This one is from serverguy.com. Can CloudFlare actually hurt your website's SEO? I saw this one handed around a lot. It's an older post, but it was handed around a lot in some of the groups, and kind of because it was there and is popular today or this week, I wanted to make my own few comments on it. Basically, the crust of his argument is that something happened on CloudFlare. He had it on for like 4 years. Something happened on CloudFlare. He didn't know it was CloudFlare at the time, and all his traffic dropped. He shut off CloudFlare and went back on, turned it back on, and went down, and shut it off again and went back up. So his theory was, or his conclusion was, oh, it must be CloudFlare. CloudFlare is doing it. And it's henceforth CloudFlare is bad for SEO. And this is a general post. I don't think it was actually written very well, because there's some things that are missing in his investigative steps. Obviously, something at CloudFlare, he's documenting something at CloudFlare was going on, but to just make a general statement that CloudFlare was the problem completely without finding out why CloudFlare was an issue, I think he missed the mark on it. But he did write a good piece here, visualizations and his own summary of conclusions, which are I'll credit him for. Some things that I would have done is, one, find out his theory that it was CloudFlare and it was pointing to the server. The original IP is the IP of your server, but it's going to the CloudFlare proxy. And the idea behind that statement is that he got hit after 4 years of being on CloudFlare because there's other bad websites on top of his at CloudFlare. They're all sharing the same IP address. But he didn't actually go in, according to the post, he didn't go into look at the IP and see who else is on there and see if that was the case.
Well, I think he's got his priorities out of order. So if you went to any type of, tester, somebody who's doing quality assurance for websites or software, they would look at it and say, well, what's most likely? Is this behaving this way for all CloudFlare customers or just this one? Mm-hmm. Probably the first thing he would need to do is ask a few other customers, are they seeing this as well? And if not, then he needs to look at what's different about his configuration than others.
Yeah. And that wasn't brought up here. He does note that he has multiple websites and he's been using it for a long time. And in this particular case, that's his conclusion of what he came up to.
Yeah, because there are settings for how strict you want your implementation of CloudFlare to be. And if his strictness is really high, he might have blacklisted Googlebot,
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing about CloudFlare is a lot of the more cheaply built SEO tools can't really read data off CloudFlare sites because they get blocked. And so, depending upon that level of strictness, depending upon what tools he's using, he may be encountering issues that the rest of the CloudFlare community isn't even seeing.
Yeah. I can tell you that I've never seen anything like this where I just turn it on and off and I can watch the rankings. I've never seen that happen.
Yeah. That makes
I'd go along the lines with what you said is somebody went in there and pushed a button that wasn't supposed to be pushed. And
yeah.
blocked
There's
Google.
a checkbox in your config that's probably killing you.
Yeah. I will tell you though that if you are using, first off, I recommend you use Cloudflare at a minimum. Use the free version. You get the CDN benefit. It's also backed up by Google servers, so that CDN was expanded when they signed that partnership with Google, and now they're using Google servers as well. And two, you get the security benefit. Whether it has stringent or as light as it is, it's still better than nothing.
And go through some training videos before you start checking and unchecking settings.
Yeah. Typically, I recommend most people leave it at the default. Don't install any plugins or features inside of your existing plugins like WP Rocket and W3 Total Cache, for example. Both those will let you let them connect to Cloudflare and manage the settings. Don't do that. And then Cloudflare has their own plugin. Don't install that either. Don't turn any of that crap on because you will slow your site down. I don't know why that is. It just seems to, every time I've ever tested and tried it, and I've done over 1,000 page speed optimizations for myself and clients, it just slows everything down. So I don't even turn those features on anymore. So those are my recommendations for Cloudflare. And then conveniently, there's some other things here for alternatives if you're in the market. Another one, Nick Eubanks, how to do keyword research in 2020. Again, this is another older one, but he's going through his process of how to leverage Ahrefs. There's a lot of tools or a lot of posts talking about using tools and stuff, but not specifically how to use the features of them. So I appreciate that Nick went through and did this. It's a little bit basic for me. However, I think for most users, you'll actually get something out of this. In particular, if you're like me, like I use Ahrefs, I have a membership and I use some of the features sometimes. And these kind of posts kind of spark up to why I should be leveraging it just that much more. But when I have like all the tools, or have been subscribed to all the tools at one point or another. So I got my own little set that I prefer. I don't care how many features they add to Ahrefs. I have a keyword research tool. But you might find something in here that will help you out and build your process. And you can never do enough keyword research, in my opinion. So I think that this is a good thing to even look at and maybe pull some bits and pieces and put it in your own process. So I like doing that a lot too. Link velocity, October 23rd, John Mueller said link velocity for the most part is kind of considered, kind of not. And basically the theory behind this is, in particular for if you're like a black hat link builder and you're doing mass, they're saying that if you have so much that's unnatural that you're going to get a penalty. And if you have so little, then it's going to hurt you as well. It's kind of, so you want to find this happy medium for your market and what you do and maintain it all the time, because you can help or hurt your website, which is a pretty interesting conclusion. Primarily is the spiky rank rate of growth in backlinks that could cause a search engine to lower the score. So let's say you fire a GSA Seer, you send 4,000 backlinks to it in 2 days. I can do that in a day, but 4,000 backlinks to it, and then Google's going to recognize that and lower the score of the website. It doesn't say does that actually balance out later and wait a little bit and does it bounce back up. Now, I've recently done some tests where I've actually sent GSAs here direct to the money site, anywhere from 150 to 3,000 backlinks. And then I did another test where I sent over 20,000 to a high authority website. In all of those cases, all I did was lower the rankings 1 to 3 positions at the most. And in some of my supplemental terms, I actually increased 1 to 3. So is the risk worth reward using GSA Seer on an unfiltered list like I did worth it? I would say maybe, depending on what you're doing with it and the targets you pick. And I picked, in my case, I picked a do follow and no follow, contextual links only, meaning it's in the content. And then there's some microdata stuff in there, or microsites and stuff, etc. But for the most part, I played it pretty safe. I just didn't filter the list, and I bought 5 different lists. I subscribed to 5 different lists to run these kind of tests. So I think right now I would recommend, if you're trying to rank a website, kind of stay away from GSA SEER. If you're using those links just to build links. If you're in a market where you need a lot of links, like I'm in a couple where if you don't have a million links, you're not playing. Use those to kind of hide your better links into. You're going to have trash, especially if you're at the million backlinks level. And you're competing with those websites, you're going to have trash in there. There's no way around it. And Google is doing in my opinion, based off of the test, are doing a good job of filtering what they want to consider good and bad. I'll leave those pages alone and see if they pop up or drop down anymore. Typically, I think a 3 to 6 week wait is probably a good idea, especially when you're dealing with backlinks. And considering some of the pages were new and old, there's some variation there that I would like to see fleshed out and see what happens.
Yeah, my BS filter is pinging at the moment, because you take something like an online retailer who has 500 categories, 25,000 SKUs,
Yep.
and they do something very basic and mundane like add a new category. Easter's coming, put up the Easter category. All of a sudden, there are 25,000 product pages and 500 category pages, all linking to the Easter page. So these numbers of like backlinks can happen organically. And sometimes, like with online retailers where they manage multiple brands but fulfill out of the same fulfillment center, then all of a sudden it's that times the number of websites they have too.
Right.
And so, I think there's a certain degree of bullshit in this message coming out of Google that, having 4,000 links this week is somehow bad, when literally millions of websites have that behavior every day.
It's also left no one challenged them with the question of, let's say I have something go viral. I created a new product and everyone likes it, and it starts, building upon itself. And that's a spiky rate of link growth, more reviewers, etc. But that seems counterintuitive to me. Why would they teach the algorithm to look for spikes as a negative when it might actually
penalize trending? Yeah, exactly.
Trending. So pretty interesting. Link velocity has always been an interesting topic to me. Like, what is the right amount? Is there a right amount? Is it really something you need to worry about and stuff?
Well, the thing I think you need to worry about is, at what point does it become expensive for Google to deal with you? Yeah. And I bet you there is a threshold where Google's saying, hey, this new website's here, but in order to crawl it and analyze it, it's going to be $5,000 of costs on our part, just because they threw so many crappy URLs into it. I bet you they're monitoring cost, and at some threshold, you trigger manual review just because you're too expensive to deal with. Now, is that 4,000 links? Probably not.
Yeah. I'm thinking a million links would probably trigger it. All right, let's see. All right, the elephant in the room. I know you're all waiting for this. And since Ted and I are probably going to go off on a rant here, I wanted to get to Ross Sparks' question is, so don't use W3 Total Cache, WP Rocket at all, or just don't use it within the Cloudflare or with their extensions. Don't use it with it. What I'm saying is, when you install W3 Total Cache or WP Rocket, both of those plugins have Cloudflare extensions, as it were. One's extension and one's a feature. Cloudflare also has their own plugin. Don't use the extensions. Don't use Cloudflare's plugin. make all of your changes and optimization switches, etc. Push all the bells and check all the boxes on Cloudflare's website. Don't let your plugins go in there and do optimizations for you. They'll get it wrong. So that's what, hopefully that clears that up a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so this one, Search Engine Land. Bert came out. I don't know if they released any, but Bert's out. And it changed the way is looking at or responding to, at least that's what the article says, is responding to the search query. Now, Danny Sullivan did another post, and I didn't save it here, but he's basically going along those same lines. We didn't change the way we looked at your content. We changed the way we're providing search results to queries, which you came up with a theory that Bert might only be affecting theory or queries. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we look back to other AI announcements that Google has done, Rankbrain being the big one, they gave examples during the Rankbrain announcement too. And the example they gave was something along the lines of, what are the animals called at the top of the food chain? And what they tried to show you, look how impressive this is. The search results that came back were for the search apex predators. So instead of searching on the exact question, they figured out that long tail question that probably wasn't cached and rarely searched could be satisfied by showing the search results for a search for apex predators, which probably was cached and is very cheap for Google to service out of cache. And so that Rankbrain update looked like a cost-cutting measure to better utilize cached search results by turning those long-tail, never-before-seen ones into shorter-tail equivalent searches. And so it sounds like Bert is kind of the same thing as that Rankbrain announcement they made. Now, later on, they went to, have theories about how Rankbrain did other things. But, they also said that Rankbrain couldn't be tuned for, and they're saying that exact same message. So it kind of feels like a Rankbrain 2.0, maybe it's an update to it, maybe it's instead of, maybe it's in addition to, but it seems to be playing on that query side of things. And so keep in mind that, there are several parts of search. One part is you type something in, Google has to understand what you mean by what you typed into search. Right. And then based on what they think you mean, they show you search results, and they also have these things called ranking factors that evaluate and rank your content. And so they're saying that Bert is not a content evaluator, it's a search query comprehension piece.
Which makes a lot of sense, especially looking at the examples in here and then using a just kind of doing myself my own real world searches and stuff. I'm seeing a lot more relevant stuff. They're getting the idea of what I'm looking for, and I think they're using a lot more of these words. To example, need a lot at work, etc., to derive understanding, versus before where I wouldn't necessarily get exactly what I was looking for. I kind of still had to search around in the results. So for a user perspective, I'm seeing better results, but not necessarily better rankings, because it's a whole different set of sites now, because to me, it's understanding the search better than it was before. Hopefully that clears that up. Clear as mud, right?
Well, and it might not have been the only thing they deployed.
Right.
So they might have announced, this is, the big thing, and snuck in something else that we're all just unaware of. So, one of the things I hope to do with SEO Fight Club tomorrow is just slow down, take a step back, and let's go do some field observations and see if anything looks different.
See what looks different, right? Well, with that being said, there are a couple of theories I'd like to delve into. In particular, is the stop words, and how they're being used for context now. I saw someone actually recommending already that you keep stop words in URLs. What do you think about that?
We tested stop words earlier this year, and we found out that Google was not using them in any way that we could physically measure. And so that was kind of eye-opening, because for years and years and years, we always reference back to a Google published list of Google stop words. And it doesn't appear that they even use that list they published. So is that different now? Well, we'd have to retest again.
Run that test over.
But earlier this year, it didn't look like Google was excluding stop words.
Yeah. To me, that would be a really interesting, because if you can leave the stop words in to make sure that you're helping Bert with context, perhaps you could see a ranking improvement. So that would be interesting to test, I would think. And then another theory came along, is that because of the way Bert runs, and it was open source, it was using NLP as part of its process, NLP and entities. And a lot of people thought they were really smart at the time. It came out and saying, look, we're doing this, we're using NLP. I used NLP. I use it ever since it was talked about in one of my masterminds. And it, I didn't see an improvement or a drop after the Bert came out. So either that's they're using NLP, or which I think that they are, or that Bert didn't affect search results in the way that everyone thought they were going to when they combined the NLP and Bert together when it came to creating content. And this was kind of also backed up when Danny Sullivan was saying there's nothing you can do. There's 2 points. One is Ted made. It could be that it's better understanding the search query, what you really want. And if that's the only thing that they're doing, then there's really nothing you can change in your content, in which case, whether you're using this or not, it really didn't matter, because Bert didn't affect your content, or how Google read it. So, but that being said, I think we talk about this a lot on SEO Fight Club. Joe Priest brought it up, episode 11, if I am not mistaken. Check that out, and then read this post on natural language processing, exactly what it is and stuff, and then go tinker around with the Google NLP API. You can leverage some of that piece of that tool inside of Page Optimizer Pro. ClearScope is another one. That one's pretty expensive though, and that one leverages Google NLP API and IBM Watson. It was $300 a month though, and it just didn't, to me, it didn't bring the value for that price point, but it's also a good tool. And then, as I understand it, and I haven't played around with it yet, Cognitive SEO's content editor is leveraging a little bit of the NLP API. So check it out. It's an interesting world over there, and you can learn some stuff. And honestly, when I have a hard time writing or coming up with stuff, that's when I start looking at LSI or TDIF or NTopic or NLP to add some more stuff into my pieces of content in order to meet that word count that the tools are telling me I should have, without sounding like a douche or without ruining the quality of my stuff. So NLP is really handy for that. And I think
what I would really like to know about right now is how Kyle's rhinoplasty plano retests are faring. Because if those haven't changed much, then it's probably not going to be a significant, SEO rollout.
I know the one starting with the H. He shared that publicly. I don't know about the rest of them. But that one wasn't even his. What was I can't remember the name of the city right now.
Yeah. He's got a dozen of them now. So I'd like to, if those are unchanged, that would be a very telling piece of data.
Yeah. Would you consider that confirmation that Danny, in this case, is actually right. You can't, there's nothing to change in your content if Bert wasn't even looking at your content.
Well, there might be things that you change in your SEO, though. So the fact that the result sets are different because of how they treat the inputs, that might mean that you target different keywords. So I wouldn't say that there's nothing that you can do in your SEO as a result of it. There probably is. There might be very little that you do on page for it, unless there are tricks for still being included in certain keywords by doing certain things on page. So I'm skeptical of that claim that there's nothing you can do, because historically that has always been false. And I suspect it's probably false here too, but we don't really know what it is yet, so it's hard to address.
That makes sense. Someone gave the link inside of, or the keyword that we're looking at. And I'm looking. That's not Lorem Ipsum, so that ain't it. There it is, number one. Yeah, still number one. So
2005 SEO is still ranking top of Google. So
yeah. I don't even think that's 2005. I think that's like, hey, let's figure. That's Excite. That's Excite right there. Yeah, it's still number one now. So that's interesting. So, your thoughts on it combined with mine and Kyle's, we're kind of getting somewhere. We're supporting Danny's argument that you can't really optimize your content, because I would think that if Bert's smart enough, obviously, to figure out the change in the results, if it was implemented in content and they have plenty enough to add to the corpus for Bert, they would have figured out that Lorem Ipsum was garbage and it would have been gone, in my opinion.
Yeah, so this likely points that Bert is a cost-cutting mechanism. Somebody at Google got a massive bonus for it because they managed to save Google another $20 million a year in operating costs by, more efficiently utilizing the caches for all of search. Right. It's probably something like that, but time will tell. We just haven't had enough of a look at what's going on yet.
That's one of the first few updates they actually did, though, that actually improved the quality of the search results. And now if they can just get the that database or the database websites out of local search and actually show local businesses in local search, then they would be on the money, I would think.
Keep in mind that for every website that sees a better outcome, there's at least one other website that disagrees.
I disagree all the time. Why am I number 2 now? It should be number 1. I think that's more ego. Let's see. I'm looking at some roofing stuff, and I see little less prominence for the category sites, but they're still there. That's disappointing, really. And it amazes me that Home Advisor and Angie's List still do so well, even though it's known that they're the same company. It's the same exact company.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's, what I've been saying for a long time. Multiple sites trumps one authority website.
Yeah, they're dominating, killing it. Plus, they have their affiliate stuff. So if you ever get beat up by a PPL paper lead Google Map, it's probably an affiliate for Home Advisor and Angie's List. So just throwing that good nugget out there for you. We are all getting our asses handed to us by 2 websites.
Yeah. And I just noticed today that Yelp has feeds for republishing all of Yelp's content and reviews.
Oh, really?
So, doing stuff like that. And we'll go into that tomorrow, too, because there's some interesting things that are appearing in search.
Nice. So if you guys didn't catch on, that's all the topics for SEO Fight Club tomorrow. Ted's doing up the slides right now, so I'm sure that'll expand a little bit more. If you have questions on Bert and some of the stuff we just talked about with local and how it affects local in particular, that's where I'm really concerned with, is local stuff. Got to take care of our clients, got to take care of the people that we have a PPL agreements with. That'll be really interesting, especially interesting for all of you. And I will leave it at that. If there's no more questions inside the chat, I'm going to go through one more time. So if you guys have questions, it'll be a good time to pop them in right now while I scroll through. Wanted to have a white space conversation. Yeah. Caleb making fun of me. Taxonomies and taxonomies. I don't know why some words are just so hard for me to say. It's weird. It's part of my charm, I guess. Dwayne Armstrong, I came for the beard trimming tricks. Beard trimming tricks. Yeah. Ted's got it on better than I do. I mess around. Like this weekend, I almost shaved it off because I was tired of dipping it in my soup.
Yeah. The number one trick is neglect.
Neglect, yeah. Just leave it alone and let it do its own thing.
Yeah, neglect is a ranking factor.
Yeah. Todd Hoffman, I don't know if you guys ever watched Gold Rush, but Todd Hoffman, he's rocking a good one like this. It's like down to here now, and he's singing music. Look at my Facebook profile. He's did a cover of Sounds of Silence, and you're like, holy crap, that's that dude singing. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I was at one of the season premiere parties at his airport place in Oregon.
Oh, really?
Once, yeah, I got a photo with them.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good crew. I really missed them on that show.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see that what he's doing now. He's got the he's leveraging Facebook. You can watch kind of his process there on for a cooking show that he's done. He's created. And then his Instagram is mostly his music stuff. So he's got, those two things going on, and that's pretty cool to see. To me, honestly, it takes a lot of balls to walk away from something that's essentially working. I'm sure he was making plenty of money off of that Discovery Channel show to kind of afford to keep going. You know what I mean? Even if he was breaking even on his gold stuff, he was still making good money, but it takes a lot of balls to walk away from that and just start something new. I kind of admire that.
Well, he's kind of an angel investor. I mean, he always has a dozen irons in the fire. So, yeah. He didn't walk away to nothing. He walked away to probably a dozen other ventures.
Yeah. Still. I don't know. I don't think I would have done it. I'd have been like, go lush for life.
Well, I bet it was hard. I mean, that really looks like hard living.
Yeah.
So,
well, not for him, but he's got his son. He had his son and his dad, and they're, doing the tractor stuff. And
yeah, but I bet now he has weekends and evenings off.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not in Alaska in the middle of nowhere with no internet.
Exactly.
That would be horrible for me. All right, so there's no questions. I'd like to thank you all very much for coming to SEO This Week, episode 140. Again, remember SEO Fight Club tomorrow, same bat time at 11 a.m. Pacific. Oh, I thought we should address this one. Time changes. So I'm always going to hold SEO This Week at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Phoenix time zone. So when the time changes in come, I think that'll be 10 a.m. Pacific. I believe you guys were bouncing back.
Yep.
Washington State did vote to say F you, we're going to stick with Arizona. But apparently Congress said, no, you're not. We need to approve that. You can't just do it on your own. So Washington has to wait another year before they can enjoy the idea of their clocks not moving back or forward ever. So it sucks for you guys. So notice that, and we'll accommodate as we as necessary to make sure that most of you can join Fight Club and SEO this week at a reasonable hour. And if we have to move around and play with the hours, and I know Ted's willing to do that for SEO Fight Club, and I'm more than willing to do that for SEO this week. So let us know if the hours get to be kind of a pain for you guys, and we'll try to see if we can find something better where more people can come and we get more live viewers on, and everyone gets to enjoy the show.
We should set up a Survey Monkey survey. Maybe next week we'll post a link for a survey. What time would you like it? Then we can look at some hard data.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Ted, for coming.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.